Hi, I'm back and you are looking at the backs of two of India's most loved compact SUVs. Now these SUVs, they don't need no introduction, but you definitely need to know where should you park your money. 12 lakhs and 7,000 rupees will get you this, a compact yet stylish Hyundai Venue in its top spec form. So this is the SXO with the dual tone color option and the IMT transmission. Add 39,000 more to the equation and you can get yourself this, India's most loved and most sold compact SUV, the Maruti Suzuki Brezza. And this one too is in its top spec form, so ZXi Plus with the dual tone color option and a manual transmission inside. Now if you are considering automatic transmissions, this price gap is going to widen, and it widens by 1,25,000 rupees. So we've established that the Venue is a lot more cheaper than the Brezza. What does that mean? If it is a better car, or can the Brezza prove its worth, is what we are going to find out in today's video. Did you know money saved is money earned, and that is why if you buy yourself the Hyundai Venue, you could finally take that international trip that you've always wanted to. You could also get yourself a beautiful pet, or maybe buy yourself an iPhone, like my DOP Vikas is planning to. I personally would go ahead and buy the Ather 450X, a stylish scooter to match my stylish SUV. Yes, the Venue has gotten a lot more prettier after this facelift, or maybe call it a cosmetic job. What also makes it draw eyeballs are the snazzy dual-tone alloy wheels and black applique around the grille. The bumpers, although proportionate, have too many elements that make it look a little too busy for my liking. Now, if you're the sort who always prefers the largest pizza on the menu, it is the Brezza that will certainly appetize you. Now, this SUV has gotten people thinking that it competes with the Creta and not the Venue, and that is despite it having the exact same length and the exact same wheelbase as compared to the Venue. It is, however, wider by 20mm and taller by 68mm, so it is a large SUV, imposing, upright, tall, things that we prefer our SUVs to be. It also comes with a great boot where you can stack your things neat and tidy. However, the boot space on offer is not as great as what the Venue has to offer, which is 22 liters more than the Brezza. It's not blingy like the Venue is and comes across as an SUV in its prime. Love the new illumination units on the front and rear, especially how the front cluster now gets LED turn signals. Also, that clamshell bonnet looks really nice. Looks on the outside are really important, but not as important as the cabin experience, because this is where you will be spending a lot of your time, and this is also where the Brezza triumphs over the Venue. And it all starts with the seats itself. They're large, they're supportive, they're very comfortable. Also the dashboard, it's set higher, it's wider, so you get the sense of driving something bigger than the Venue. The cabin is wide, yes, so that liberates a lot of space between you and your co-passenger. Talking about space, there's plenty both in the front and the rear. Now about the features, let's quickly talk about them as well. It gets everything that the Venue gets, but also gets a lot of segment first features. That includes a 360-degree camera with a cool animation of the Brezza itself, and that is very helpful, especially when you're navigating this big car in the city. Also, it gets a heads-up display, and that again gets a lot of different views that you can toggle with using the switch on the right side of the dashboard. The dashboard itself gets an ambient lighting that also extends to the door cards, quite a classy thing. Now talking about things being classy here, look at that beautiful analog dash. Look at it dance when I rev the engine. Now this is called beautiful. I quite love these analog dials. This, as opposed to that, nah. Yes, the Venue gets a fully digital instrument cluster, but then again, it's just throwing random information at me. It's not at all classy. I used to prefer the analog dials that the Venue used to get. Remember those? Those were really nice. So when you jump into this cabin straight after the Brezza, you feel it is cramped all of a sudden. Space has been deleted from all four corners. However, the use of this light upholstery does add some sense of airiness into this cabin, but then again, it's not as big as what the Brezza is. Also, the fit and finish levels, not as good as the Brezza. Lots of hard plastics being used everywhere. Scratchy hard plastic. Now both the cars get those. But then again, the quality here in the venue feels a grade lower than what the Brezza has to offer. So this is a slightly smaller, slightly complicated cabin to live with. Now talking about the features, it covers your bases, so you get a really responsive high-definition screen with your modern smartphone connectivity. You get a single-pane sunroof, you get your automatic climate control, you also get wireless charging, everything that the Brezza gets except those segment-first features. And what the venue offers over and above the Brezza, or basically what the Brezza does not get that the venue gets, is an integrated air purifier with this central armrest, which is quite cool, and also gets a 4-way powered driver's seat. But then my question to you is, how often would you adjust your driving position? Once a month, 5 times a month, 12 times a month? I could live without this. Alright, you know what, erase all of that fluff, because now that I've got myself into a really good driving position thanks to these electronically adjusted driving seats, it's time to fire up the better of the two engines. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the TGDI turbocharged 3-cylinder 1-liter engine that eats Cape-powered horses for breakfast. You know what, ladies and gentlemen, this is what you call a compact SUV with a compact engine, but it is also very nimble, very fun to drive in the city. You can squeeze it through the gaps and really have lots of fun, even on mundane drives like your commute to work. It's fantastic. It is a little stiff, so when you put it through the potholes, it will unsettle the entire cabin. But the flip side to that is when you find yourself a good driving road like how I have at this very moment, it is an absolute joy and an absolute hoot to drive this thing around. It is so much more lively and so much more involving and so much more connected than the Brezza, and that is what I absolutely like about the Hyundai Venue. Behind the wheel, the Venue actually feels like a compact hatchback that is allowing you to have a lot more fun in the city. Also, when you push it a little too hard, it tends to understeer. I mean, it is a front-wheel drive, so yes, it will understeer, but then it still feels very well controlled. This entire platform, this chassis, gearbox, it all demands a manual transmission to go along with it, and that is where Venue misses out. Yes, it does have the DCT, but then that comes with a price, and that is also quite expensive to repair if something does happen to it. A manual transmission, a simple 6-speed manual transmission would have really been very sweet, but then again, what you get instead is this IMT, an intelligent manual transmission. It might be intelligent, but in terms of the fun that it offers, not so much. So what is an IMT? Basically, you don't get a clutch, whereas you still have to slot it into individual gears. How does the clutch operate? Well, there is a cable that sits right under here, so every time you shift, the clutch engages first, and after that is when you slot it into the gear, your desired gear. Now, while you're driving in the city, it's actually quite beneficial because you don't have to worry about your left foot. You can just rest your left foot, and also you don't have to shell $1 million to get yourself a good automatic transmission. But when you're driving out here, when you're driving enthusiastically, this tends to just not deliver the driving thrills. It lacks. I mean, it feels notchy, and the gear shifts, they take a little effort. Sometimes it also tends to miss, and that is something that I really don't like about this transmission. But then again, the normal audience out there doesn't really drive like this, do they? They drive in a much more serrated fashion, and in those sort of driving conditions, this transmission works absolutely fine. It works like a dream, to be honest. It's actually magical how you can change it into any gear without the need of pressing a clutch pedal. It's as easy as that. Third to fourth, that's it. It's actually pretty easy to drive this IMT. It's not fun though. Quite raspy the way it sounds as well. And the steering wheel might be light in the city, but out on the highway it does really weigh up, and that makes it quite an enthusiastic car. Not an M5, it's not a twin turbocharged V8, but then again, for the money that you spend, it is quite good. There are 3 things that are made evidently clear when you start driving the Maruti Suzuki Brezza. Number 1, it lacks power. It is fine till about the speeds of 40, but then after that, it runs out of breath as if it has cholesterol. It really takes a lot of effort to get this thing moving. Number 2, the ride is phenomenal. It is just brilliant. It is great. It is It is unbelievable. I mean, you can throw anything at it and the suspension will sort you out. And that list can even include speed breakers. And number 3, every touch point that involves human interaction has been smoothened out. It's been smoothened out to a level that it's hard to believe that it's a machine that you are operating. Like for instance, that engine is super silky smooth. As a result of which the pedals have 0 vibrations and they are very well sprung. And then the clutch is very light, the bite point is very well defined, and the gearbox, the slots, the gates, everything is just brilliant. It feels like this gearbox deserves to be in a sports car, and no, I'm not making this up. This is actually the reasons why we still love driving manual transmissions. So, the gearbox is a lot of fun to operate. The only thing that the Brezza then lacks is power, and what a shame that is, because power was never really a concern with the earlier Brezza. The diesel was good, the earlier Brezza, the petrol-powered Brezza, it never felt so underpowered like how this one feels. Now, while the Brezza might have lost all that performance, it has definitely earned a lot more fuel efficiency. Yep, this is one of the most efficient petrol-powered compact SUVs that our market currently has. And yes, I've been driving it like a maniac since morning, and all of that verifies it checks, because this thing has been throwing some unreal fuel efficiency figures at me. So then, this powertrain combined with that gimmicky mild hybrid system does not make you want to miss that diesel Brezza that we all used to love and adore for its fuel efficiency especially. This one does the job equally well, while being a lot more refined and while being emission compliant as well. So I think it's a win-win situation for most of us out there. Alright, this one has been really difficult, but now it's time to sum it up all together. Which of these two should you consider? Which one would we buy happily as Indians? Well, I believe the answer to that question lies in the question itself. No, you don't agree? Well, think of it this way. While it was the Venue that really made me smile and I really did enjoy this compact little SUV with that punchy turbocharged engine, I've come to realize that occasions like these, when you drive in a spirited fashion, present themselves very rare. The normal drivers, the normal road users are going to find themselves either in traffic or in pothole-ridden roads, and that is where it is the Brezza that feels a lot more rewarding. It is also a lot larger than the Venue, offers a lot more features than the Venue, so I think it deserves to take that crowd. So that extra money that you pay to get yourself this badge, the Suzuki badge, not only gets you all those features, it also gets you the peace of mind and ease of ownership. Ladies and gentlemen, this is then the winner of today's comparison. Well, all hail the king, Jahapana, to see great ho.